This is for the relentless few who understand that true growth demands more than strategies and systems. It requires leveling up your habits and your character. We believe your business should serve your life, not consume it. Your success should fuel your freedom, not imprison you. Your growth should lift others, not leave them behind.
So starting from the beginning, how did Driven for Growth come to be?
So started Driven for Growth Christmas 2023, I think it was. We had another business that had been running, I think, for about 6 years, different iterations, but about 6 years. It was called Stone Fabricator Elite. And when I started working in the surface industry, we were primarily working with countertop companies, stone fabricators. But in those early days, even we started working with tile companies, flooring companies, and a lot of countertop companies also have different extensions of their business, right? They might also do cabinets, they might do flooring, they might even see themselves as a bit of a remodeler. And so we had taken on enough clients and created enough solutions that it made sense to start to broaden beyond just the countertop industry. And for example, like when we go to Tice or we go to coverings, there's stone, tile, flooring, et cetera, remodelers there. And just staying strictly in the stone industry felt like a missed opportunity. And also, if I really look back at it, 2023, we had an agency, so a growth agency, and we were also doing consulting. But I had sort of lost my passion, I guess you could say, for the agency side of the business, for like done for you services. After you built enough CRMs, launched enough campaigns, it's not as exciting, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So that was part of it. Like, what's next? Like, what do we really want to do? What lights us up? And the other part about it is not only wanting to broaden industries, but the SFE, because we shortened it from Stone Fabricator Elite. I can't tell you why I picked that name back in the day. It was like, let's not overthink it. Let's make it quick. But I never really loved it. And I felt it didn't really represent me. And so knowing that if we were going to rebrand, broaden, that I wanted a brand that would be good for a podcast like this, good for a community like we have in our private community with our coaching clients, something that would work well for events, for example, or we do retreats, for example. So wanted a brand that was flexible, and I wanted a brand that represented my personality and like my DNA. And so if I had to sum up one word for myself when I sat down and thought about that, it was driven. And that originally, I was thinking, would that just be the name? Just driven? I'm like a sucker for like brands that are just one word.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, it's a little bit more meat on the bone there. So
yeah,
what I landed on was Driven for Growth. And that encapsulated both, yes, we're helping companies to grow, right? We're helping companies to 3X, for example, in 18 months. And that's, something that people want. But what really lights me up is that the entrepreneurial journey is one that forces you, whether you like it or not, to also grow as a person, right? As a human being, as a person, just like, becoming a parent does, right? You gotta, your identity changes whether you like it or not. And so I really wanted to bring other aspects into what we do and how we serve, Surface Pros, from beyond just strategies to help scale and systemize, to also high performance habits, mindset, the inner game, and that aspect. So Driven for Growth really represented that, like two sides of the coin of both growth in the business and growth in terms of as individuals. So yeah, we launched Christmas 2023, took a bold move to decide to shut down our old business and do that in a 90-day period, and sunsetted all of our clients but one. Wow. Which was risky at the time. So we took, the monthly reoccurring revenue that we had, and we said, okay, we're going to just keep one client that we think is a good fit for this new model. We invited him. We're like, is this something you'd be interested in? This was Don at Granite Marble Solutions. Okay. Would you, become our first program member in this? And he was like, yes. And we're like, we just need one. All right. Start with somebody that goes, yeah, I like what you guys what you're saying you're going to build. Yeah. And then the new leads that we were getting in, we would kind of hold them
Mm.
and kind of filter through them to let them know, hey, we're not doing X anymore. We're actually doing this. And we wanted to start with a small group. So our magic number was 5.
Mm.
And we got the first 5 together. We called them the OGs, that have been with us since 2023, 2024.
Yeah.
Found the first 5, and I built the first half of the 90-day growth engine program
Mm.
over Christmas. So while everybody else was with their families working,
Wow.
while everybody else was not working with their
Yeah.
family, celebrating the holidays, I took a minute to, celebrate Christmas and do some basic stuff. But I pretty much, in that quiet time, you know, 14 hours, 18 hours a day for those 2 weeks. And I
Mm.
built the first half of the 90-day growth engine program, which now I've redone 2.5 times since then.
Sure.
Basically had to have it ready. We started, I think, the second, no, the first, no, it was like the first week of January.
Wow.
So like, okay, we're starting with the group. Here we go. And it's been no looking back since then. The first 5, I think everybody continued on beyond the 90 into our annual.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, it's been a wild ride.
No kidding. So you mentioned a lot just there, the inner game, growing, scaling, systemizing. Was that always the plan from the start, or what was the initial thing that you were trying to solve with that small group of people?
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. So that thinking about that actually was what was sort of the catalyst for the 90-day growth engine program
Hmm.
was one of our longest standing, actually our first, client in the surface industry.
Hmm.
We had reached a point where what we were currently doing for them, how we were helping them, wasn't really enough. They had hit this point in their business with so much complexity
Mm.
that there was a conversation we were having about really having to go back and look at their business model, reassess, almost start from scratch again, and build a foundation from which they could scale successfully without all the chaos, without all the challenges that they were enduring. And
Sure.
we were at the start of that, maybe in the fall of 2023. And we actually chose not to go forward with that. But what I had told them at that time, they were moving out of services, like done for you services. We're just going to go all in on the coaching consulting that we've been doing. And in many cases, instead of doing it for people, like the teach a man to fish approach,
Yeah.
which I think is better if you can teach somebody to acquire their own customers versus them being reliant on you. That's powerful, right?
100%.
And so I had already started to build things out from like, what had we done in the last 7 years
Mm.
with surface companies that we were kind of reinventing the wheel, solving one problem at a time every time. Right? It was just like a little bit of duct tape here, a little band-aid here,
Yeah.
a little fix here, a little this here for 7 years. And looking back at it, like, okay, we got a lot of great results,
Yeah.
but if we put this all together, this would be incredible. But
Mm.
the other reason being is that we had so many clients that we had helped grow, but growth had actually, in many cases, like the money's good, but
Sure.
when they've increased their revenue, but they had grown to build, they had built businesses they had grown to dislike or even hate
Mm.
or wish that they could go back in time and they wouldn't have chosen to do the same thing because it had become all
Sure.
consuming. It had become where they were a slave to the business and you got the golden handcuffs, right? Like pays good,
Yeah.
but you've got no freedom. And so what we decided to do for the 90-day growth engine program is that would be the kind of the mandatory prerequisite to work with us, to gain access to our other systems and playbooks,
Hmm.
that you've got to build a solid foundation first before you just try to 3x the business. And the foundation is not just in like systems, it's also foundation in what type of business do I want? Why
Mm.
do I want this? And that sort of is something I learned the hard way, and having clients being like, I wish I had paused to think about building this thing,
Yeah.
and like I didn't need to go to 8 million. 4.5 would have been the sweet spot. Like now I just got this like Frankenstein monster of a business, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, that's kind of what the catalyst was.
Okay. That's fantastic. So you started, you got the 90-day all figured out in that 2 week sprint, massive amount of effort. What was the moment that you knew? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, no, I didn't figure out the 90 in 2 weeks. I built it in 2 weeks, but hired a mentor. And
Mm,
it's like, I think, hiring the right coach, consultant, obviously we're biased. We're a coaching business and
yeah,
consulting,
yeah,
but took what maybe would have taken me 9 months, a year to figure out on my own, and joined a 3 to 4 month program with them. Did all of that work to understand how to take our IP, what we had done in the last 7 years, and the
yeah,
name of the game was to productize it. Because what we had been doing on the consulting side of the business prior was jump on calls with one client at a time and solve the same
sure,
problem over and over again. And to be honest, I had hit burnout,
yeah,
of my own. And so had to think about how can we help more people? How can we make our own business models scalable? And so hired a mentor to help us productize our IP. And then once I had that figured out, I produced it all in 2 weeks, half of it in 2 weeks.
gotcha. I was gonna say that sounds even more insane to come up with it and
Yeah,
build it in the.
needed that help to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And big part of that process was we had done so much in 7 years is he helped us to be like, what can you remove from this and still get the result?
yeah.
Make it as lean as possible.
Okay, very interesting. So, what was the moment that you knew that Driven for Growth wasn't just a run of the mill coaching company, that it was bigger?
It's an interesting question because I think I've always known based on when I was going to
Hmm.
start DFG, I and have a vision for it where it wasn't just going to be a run of the mill coaching company. And I think even in the early days, I've done a poor job of answering that, like on a sales call, for example. And somebody, what
Sure.
separates you from all the other options out there, and just not really doing a great job of communicating that. But the vision for Driven for Growth is quite layered in that,
Mhm.
yes, we're going to help companies to systemize, scale, get their freedom back, like
Yep.
remove themselves from being trapped in their own business to create that freedom for themselves. But we have so many layers of what the value and the impact we're trying to make. Um, that being one of them, all the way through to helping them not only then, getting their freedom back, but help them take their business to its peak potential,
Hmm.
help them be able to transform their inner game as well. But then ultimately, where we really want to take things is to have their business become the wealth creating vehicle for them. And so 3.0 of Driven for Growth is that we're going to have other coaches, other advisors, and experts help to build out the academy to help coach our program members
Hmm.
so that they can create like generational wealth,
Hmm.
right? And really like a long lasting legacy. And so I think that, I think maybe we'll get into a little bit more of that later in this episode. But I think from day one, I've known that I wanted to create something that just wasn't almost what feels like a course in coaching.
Yeah.
You go XYZ and check off the boxes. Like we want to be able to, yeah, create transformation and not just short term, like significantly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's really interesting. It reminds me of a clip I actually just saw. I've seen it a couple times, but just saw it again yesterday. It's a Gary Vee clip where a woman comes up to him and she says, "Someday I'm going to be somebody. You're going to know who I am." And he looks at her and he goes, "Hold on. You are somebody right now.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
already somebody." Like, act out of that rather than, oh, someday. Really inspiring, though. So you always knew that when you started, it was bigger and acted out
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. It was bigger because of the mission that we're on, that we're in terms of how we want to help people and why we're doing it.
Hmm.
And the type of clients that we work with, that also share similar values, for example. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
What is that mission that you're on? How would you describe that?
So I think, I mean, we do have a mission hold internally. that we don't
Hmm.
talk about a lot, and some math involved in just how many lives we're looking to impact through the businesses that we transform.
Yeah.
But I think that that's one that's personal to us. Maybe once we get the first 10 under our belt, we'll create I've thought about creating a kind of like a counter that will have
Yeah.
on our website that's able to keep track of the impact we've had. I think I
Yeah.
want to hold that I've until we're a little further down the line in achieving it. But what I think might be, a better way to give people, kind of a peek under the hood, so to speak, in terms of
Sure.
like what drives us, what are we, why are we in this,
Yeah.
in this, um, or maybe not fight is not the right word, but like,
Mhm.
what drives us, what motivates us, and sort of from a 30,000 foot view, what's the mission we're on is to share the Driven for Growth manifesto, which if I'm looking at the date on this, when we posted it inside of our academy was October 24th. So about a year after we launched it.
Hmm.
And so far, so we have every member when they come into the program leave a comment in the academy
Yeah.
of like which part has resonated the most with them. And I think it is really aligning with the clients and the members that we bring on. When they
Good.
read it, they really share not only in the comments, but they'll share with me later just how much it resonates with them. So I think it really does a great job of embodying our DNA, our mission, and also aligning with those that we work with.
Hmm.
So, the Driven for Growth manifesto, we see you, the ones who refuse to settle, the entrepreneurs who rise each day with unwavering determination to create a vehicle for freedom, abundance, and meaningful impact. We're not here for those only chasing money. We're here for those that seek transformation. This is for the relentless few who understand that true growth demands more than strategies and systems. It requires leveling up your habits and your character. We believe your business should serve your life, not consume it. Your success should fuel your freedom, not imprison you. Your growth should lift others, not leave them behind. This is about building businesses that harness leverage to create exponential growth. We're not interested in trading time for money. We're creating machines of prosperity. Free us to pursue what lights us up, eliminate what drains and depletes us, generate security that extends beyond ourselves, because true wealth isn't built in isolation. It flows from you to your family, through your team, and into your community. And a rising tide lifts all ships, and you are building the tide. We know the truth. Every breakthrough in business begins with a breakthrough in identity. Every leap in revenue requires a leap in leadership. Every expansion of influence demands an expansion of character. This is not about quick wins or shallow victories. It's about depth, about substance, about lasting transformation. So, to the entrepreneurs who feel the pull of something greater, to the leaders who are ready to evolve beyond their current limitations, and to the visionaries who know their best chapter is yet to be written, this is your call to not chase success, but to embody it. Welcome to Driven for Growth. Welcome to your transformation. The journey starts now.
Hmm. Gives me goosebumps every time I read it or hear it read. That's the first time I've actually ever heard it read. So
First time I've ever read it.
fantastic.
Yeah, I
It's
wrote
very
it,
powerful.
posted it, but yeah, I think that really embodies. I didn't do the best job of answering the other questions in terms of like, what's our mission? What's like,
Hmm.
how did I know it was something bigger? I knew it when we created it, what we were doing it for, who we were
Yeah.
serving, why we were serving them, and like what that was going to feel like. And then it's just been a journey of putting that together one at a time, one step at a time. But I think that the manifesto really embodies everything that we stand for.
Yeah. And that shapes how you build the programs, how you coach clients, and how you run your own team, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like one of the things we always say when we have a new program member is like, hey, man, we're in your corner. Like, know
Hmm.
that. Um, and I think some of them are surprised in the situations where we've really shown up and they're like, oh, yeah, they're not just in this for, when they say, hey, we're not here just to chase um, the monetary aspect of things,
Yeah.
because there's things that we'll do that show that we're in it for you. There's things that we've done to go well above and beyond, or help them to solve problems that they thought were unsolvable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take it pretty seriously.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I mean, our brand that we actually don't share that part. It's driven for growth, and our tagline is "We are relentless," and that's another part that we can jam on a little later. What that means.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked a lot about freedom first, but what does that actually mean for us in practice?
So yeah, in our growth engine, which is a system, there are 7 subsystems. The first one
Mhm.
is freedom first. Um, and what that really means to us is that before we engage with any client, before we help them to scale their business, we're really going to help them design it for freedom first. What does that mean is we're going to help them to build the business that they want, but first to take a step back, figure out why they want that. Mistake again, dude. You're going to have to cut this out, Mohammed. All right. So, this part. So, what that really means, in practice is before we start working with a client or a program member,
Mhm.
we're going to help them build their business for freedom first. And that means that they're going to take a step back, gain clarity on what exactly they want, where they see the business going, but why do they see it going there? Make sure it's really aligned for them, and really start to think about and design the life that they want, the freedom
Mhm.
that they want to have, the type of take home pay they'd want, the amount of hours that they want to work. What do they want to spend their time doing? What's really important? What sort of legacy they want to leave behind? So we get pretty deep on that. And from there, we then will help them to build their business around that freedom. So that's like really the keystone, like where we start. And that'll inform everything else, versus what very often happens is you've got like this arbitrary revenue goal. Okay, we want to be at 5 million in 24 months
Mhm.
and go. And that's what we used to help people do. And you just create the strategies just based on hitting that top line revenue number, right?
Mhm.
At the sacrifice of everything else that's important. So freedom first for us means we're building a business that can reach its peak potential, but that our clients and our program members are going to be able to spend more time doing what they love, or spend more time doing what they enjoy with the people that they love ultimately.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, what's the point? What are we doing all of this for, right?
Right. Absolutely. So you've mentioned now freedom first and the 90-day growth engine. Um, do we only have the one approach to helping business owners get there, or what do we currently have to offer for owners of surface businesses?
So we actually do have 2 signature programs. So we've got the 90-day growth engine program that you've heard us talk about a little bit. And
Mhm.
then we've got our business engine method. I won't go into those in too much detail here, but
Sure.
the 90-day growth engine is really to help stone, tile, and flooring companies to be able to build that foundation they need to successfully launch growth. One of those sayings that we always throw out there is you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. And that's the way we look at growth. And we learned that the hard
Yeah.
way in helping so many companies to launch growth to 2x, 3x, 5x in a short amount of time. It can create a lot of chaos if that foundation isn't in place, or the business owner can just, if they were already lacking some freedom, can get sucked back in even more. And so we really do establish that foundation first in our 90-day. Then clients are ready to launch growth, and they can continue working with us beyond that. The business engine method is typically for larger companies. So
Mm.
companies doing 5 million, is kind of
Okay.
a spot where they might come in, but then 10 to 20 million plus, the business engine method is suited for that. And those are companies that have a foundation. Clearly, if they're at 5 to 25 million or beyond, they've
Right.
got a foundation. But now they've hit what we call growth gridlock ceiling.
Mm.
So they're almost a victim of their own success, in that they've grown to a point where there's so much complexity, there's so much volume
Yep.
going through the business, that the systems, strategies that were serving them before are starting to show the cracks, starting to break down. And that's where the business
Yep.
engine method comes in. So those are our 2 signature programs.
Okay. So two incredible programs for two entirely different types of businesses. Are we working on anything behind the scenes right now that people might not be aware of? outside of those two programs?
Yeah, for sure. I think one, we don't even really mention our programs as much as we probably should. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, if you go onto our social and you probably scroll through that,
Right.
I would be you'd be hard pressed to find anything that says business engine method, you
Hmm.
know, and then like sporadically we'll mention that we've got some spots open for like right now for fall for our 90-day growth engine program. So we definitely don't talk a lot about what we're building.
Yeah.
So I've kind of looked at it like we've had Driven for Growth when it launched was 1.0.
Hmm.
So we've got Driven for Growth 1.0, which we started, Christmas 2023. But I should tell the
Hmm.
audience, like, those are systems that we've been delivering to clients for 6 to 7 years before that. We just
Yeah.
decided to put it inside of an academy and take the time to build that. 2.0, which is what we're working on right now,
Hmm.
is to provide the tools and systems that our clients can use to really be able to see the health of their business,
Hmm.
whether that's the financial health of the business, whether that's the throughput of, their business engine, so to speak. And so we're working on the, I guess you could say, the tech aspect of that to create some user-friendly dashboards, tools that allows them to easily measure what matters, to gain visibility into their business, to really be able
Hmm.
to make informed decisions. So that's what we're working on right now. We've launched the shop optimization sprint for the countertop side, um, or the countertop segment of the industry. And then we're going to be
Hmm.
launching that as well for the flooring side. To be determined if we're going to be doing something similar for the tile
Sure.
guys. But that's in 2.0 right now for countertops and flooring. And that's a add-on, you could say, to our 90-day growth engine program, where we're really going to be getting into things like for the countertop guys right now,
Yeah.
machine utilization, inventory management, really finding out where the profit leaks are, how to, create better efficiency through their shop. And really with the help of our strategic growth advisors that have 20 and 25 years plus in the industry to really, close the loop on what we solve for.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be massive. So then we're going to do that next for the flooring segment of the market.
Great. That's super exciting. Would you say that that's one of the bigger parts of the growth engine that we're refining or expanding at the moment, or do we have anything else that we're working on?
I'm always working on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the things that are in the can right now, like in the roadmap,
Hmm.
that we're rolling out, is one to build, yeah, that's sort of the tech side, those
Yep.
lightweight solutions. We're also going to be redoing, I guess you could say, the unfortunately, because it's always changing, the advertising
Hmm.
side of this in terms of the marketing machine that we help our clients to build is a moving target. So that's constantly shifting, changes in Meta's algorithm, different things that are happening. So that is something else that we're going to roll out would be the ads engine,
Okay.
which is a more advanced system for those that have already installed the basic marketing machine in our 90-day. We're going to be redoing what happens after that. So working on that as well. And I think just we're always constantly improving things as we find opportunities. And there are times where we'll be helping a client with something and they've got a unique problem. And if
Hmm.
it makes sense for us to solve it, we'll solve it. If they have success with that, then we'll beta it and kind of roll it out to a couple of other members. If they have success with it, then we'll make it part of the growth engine.
Yeah.
Right? We're always stacking solutions. And I mean, you'd probably say this, Wes, right? That there's a lot under there's a lot
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
kind
There
of
is.
look under the hood that's there.
Yeah, there is for sure. So speaking of all those moving parts, everything that's under the hood, so to speak, everything that we're working on developing, improving consistently, what are we seeing work best for our clients currently? What are the things that are really moving the needle forward for them?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's interesting because we got members that all have
Hmm.
different challenges, different people focusing on different aspects of the program at different
Yep.
times. So, for people that are listening, our 90-day growth engine, we have people joining at different times, and we have what we call the OGs that have been there for a while, right? And
Hmm.
they're on the 90 days and still in the growth engine. And so it's not like we have like a fall or winter cohort that everybody's going through at the same time. So we're seeing all sorts of different things, work for different people. So that's a tricky thing to answer. But what I would say is,
Yeah.
the main thing that I would say is that all of our systems are proven; they all work.
Hmm.
But it's what I see that really works is people that come into our programs or when they engage with us that are able to be consistent,
Hmm.
to really look at this as, when they come to us, they go, "Hey, I'm trapped, right? I don't have any time to work on the business." And that's
Right.
literally what we're giving them is a roadmap to work on the business.
Right.
And those that can get on the other side, and that's the first thing we tackle is to have them be able to own their time, block out the noise, you know, put up those guardrails and be able
Hmm.
to, protect their time to work on the business. And when they're able to just consistently every week knock out one or two of the things inside the program, they're able to compound with consistency to make that massive transformation at the end of it with little wins along the way. So I really couldn't say there's one specific thing. It's more
Sure.
of just those that are able to do that. Those are the people that thrive.
Yeah. So we're helping our clients consistently stack little wins throughout the time that they work with us. And obviously, the 90-day time frame doesn't have to be the end. They can continue with us. Why do you think people choose to continue to work with us? What about our culture? You've mentioned a couple times the OGs, people that have stuck with Driven for Growth for periods of time well beyond the 90 days. Why do people stick around?
I think the first thing would be, I mean, culture, is
Hmm.
a driver for a lot of different things. But I think if we get into what, a flooring business owner is going to want is they want an ROI.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
talking to a countertop shop, that comes in the program, they're going to want a return on investment. So that's the first thing that
Hmm.
has them stay is that they're able to implement systems like a sales engine, a marketing machine that is able to pay for itself multiple times over and pay for the program essentially,
Hmm.
right? So they're playing with house money after. And
Yeah.
when they're able to do that, that makes sense for a lot of them. The reason that they stay is for the community very often. I mean, they do like working with us, but they also like being in the community of like-minded business owners that have the same challenges they do because it's a lonely journey to be on.
Hmm.
Very often they don't have friends that quite get what they're dealing with. They don't want to dump that all on their family. And so to be able to have that community on a regular basis, right? Every Wednesday when we're
Hmm.
meeting on those coaching calls, and a lot of them become friends outside of that. We host retreats where they get to meet each other and really develop those bonds. So I think they stay for the community and the results ultimately. And I
Yeah.
think as Logan, one of our clients, shared a review on our podcast, I forget what did he say, like a relentless partner in his growth.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we bring to the table. We help to keep them accountable. We don't let them off on the things that they want to execute and the goals that they have. And I think we do that at a level that is hard to find.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that they really value.
Yeah. So they stick around for the culture, not just what we provide, but they're meeting other like-minded individuals, business owners that are in that lonely chapter, right? And go, "Oh yeah, we're all roughing it together, figuring it out." That's great. So, we talk about being relentless. That tagline of "We are relentless." What does that represent for us, do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's another thing that we don't share. We don't mention
Hmm.
very often in the program, in the community, in our marketing. Um, but yeah, jamming on that for a minute, I think is powerful because I think that is an embodiment of our character,
Hmm.
as a team of what we represent to our clients. is that we're driven and relentlessly so. And I think in bringing you on, Wes, to the team, I was looking for somebody that embodied that. And
Hmm.
you definitely do more so than I even thought. Like when we met and we spent a lot of time talking. Um, and when we talk, I mean, you can say certain things, but seeing it in your actions, I mean, that's the difference,
Hmm.
right? Um, I, by nature, I'm relentless. Like I'm relentlessly driven um, to achieve the things I've set out to do.
Hmm.
But more so, relentlessly driven to achieve the things our clients have entrusted us with to support them and serve them. And it's something that I do. I take maybe sometimes more seriously than I even should, where things keep me up at night. I'm always thinking about, okay, they're in this challenging spot. What can we do? How can we help them?
Yeah.
Um, I've never explained it before. It
Yeah.
in a way feels self-explanatory, but at the same
Yeah.
time, if somebody was reading that, the Driven for Growth team is relentless. Like that sounds cool and all, but what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
I think I got it. I mean, it really is that. Like, we're never going to give up, and we really do our best to not try. Sorry, to not let our clients off. I'm not saying that they're going to give up,
Yeah.
but what I've seen after nearly a decade in this game is
Sure.
that the business like so often can get the better of
Yeah.
us, of the business owner, and despite what they may want, despite their dreams, their goals, aspirations, the impact they want to have. The business has a funny way of having other plans. And
Hmm.
so our mission is to stay relentlessly focused on having them be able to achieve what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Not letting them off. But it is easy. No matter how bad you want the next level, to resort back to what you know, what was
Yeah.
comfortable in a way. It's very uncomfortable. It's hard either way, but you know that path. And this one
Yeah.
can be unsure.
That's just it, because like launching a marketing campaign, easy, but
Hmm.
getting that owner freedom that you want, where maybe you've got some deep rooted beliefs of where you can't fully trust your team in
Hmm.
executing without you, and the inability to release and let go. Like that, for example, is like, part it is such a layered journey, right?
Hmm.
And so that relentless pursuit of the desired outcome, maybe I'm falling off track a little bit here, but that idea of not letting them off, because if we do, we let them down. And
Yeah.
so often we've got to stay relentless and push into uncomfortable places.
Hmm.
And it really becomes more than just consulting of like, hey, here's your roadmap of your 12-month game.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a call, and we're gonna have to have a like a mini intervention. Come to Jesus. You
Yeah.
want this result, but your actions are over here. Like, what are we gonna do about that? And
Right.
um, let's figure it out. I think we
Hmm.
push a lot more than a lot of other companies do, and you know, that's part of that relentless nature as well, is to like not just stay, hey, we've got a client that's enrolled and we just kind of stay comfortable and keep them
Yeah.
happy. They're in there. I mean, we've pushed some members to the point where this wasn't right for them,
Mm.
where they decided to exit the program because we
Sure.
wouldn't let them off, and we're not going to, we're going to push. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that does make us different, and not for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
We're definitely not going to just be a cheerleader sitting there going, great job.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for the money. Have fun.
Exactly.
Awesome. Um, you talked about a roadmap for our clients and helping them to create a future, clarity about where they're going. So, speaking of that, when you think about where Driven for Growth is going, what is the big picture for us?
Oh, that's funny. You were like, is there anything else we're working on in the background? I think because you're spearheading it, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Didn't mention it. But it's an idea that we've had for a while now, with
Yeah.
Wes on board spearheading this. One of the big things, and then I'll talk about where we're going. One
Hmm.
of the big things we're working on in the background, and if anybody's listening and interested, please reach out to us at team@drivenforgrowth.co, is growth grant partnerships. And maybe
Yeah.
I'm not the best person to talk about this. If you wanted to share kind of in a nutshell what we're doing behind the scenes there, because I think it's going to be a game changer.
Sure. Yeah, this is something that I personally, but everybody at Driven for Growth is really excited about the Growth Grant partnership opportunity. What we're really trying to do is partner with national brands, manufacturers, suppliers who really want to champion the growth of their customers. So chances are these national suppliers have dozens and dozens of great relationships with contractors in their network who are doing a phenomenal job. They are uh, pillars in their community. They want to grow. Maybe they want to grow, but they don't know where to start. Or maybe they've started to grow, but they're stuck and they're not really sure what the next step is. What we'd like to do is make it more simple for those contractors to join our program. So, partnering with those national suppliers or manufacturers, what the growth grant is essentially reducing the price of our 90-day growth engine by a portion that the supplier, manufacturer, whoever that might be, will contribute to lower the barrier of entry for those contractors. And imagine um, some of those contractors that they help get access to our program then see some of the results that we relentlessly pursue. They're not only helping the growth of that contractor, they're helping their own growth. They are essentially, for a very small investment, potentially getting a big ROI when those contractors 2x, 3x, 4x, whatever their goal might be, their trust and that relationship that was already strong with that supplier or manufacturer then just continues to get stronger. Their spend goes up with you. They're going to do some natural advertising for you, right? Because, oh, look, this company helped me connect to Driven for Growth. And now look where I am today. You know, they helped me get unstuck. So we're really excited about that because those suppliers have connections that we don't or we couldn't find, and they have some trust, and so uh, it'll really be good for the industry. Especially, you know, we're thinking in flooring because the flooring industry has been the same for a long time. Things have always been done the same way. When guys in the flooring industry get together and talk, it's all the same stuff, right? So
Same for,
we're
I mean, there's a little bit innovation happening here and there, but same for stone and tile. I mean,
yeah,
it'll be fun to see how they respond to something new and innovative.
yeah, absolutely. We're excited to bring that to them. So
So, yeah, I totally forgot to mention that because that's the biggest thing we're working on. I think the shop optimization sprint, where we've launched it
yeah.
already. Um, and so I'd forgotten about that. In terms of where this is all going and what the
Hmm.
big picture is, um, I think we want to build, continue to build world-class solutions,
Hmm.
to really deliver to what I believe is an underserved market in the surface industry. One of the reasons I got into it was that we were having a lot of success, and I think we had created some really great solutions. And the surface industry is on the smaller side. Like, yeah, flooring's pretty big, tiles pretty big, countertops, a little bit smaller, but comparatively to HVAC, right, and plumbing,
Yep. Yep.
where they have, just so many different resources, so many different very large companies pumping a lot of money into that industry or acquiring, right? They're interested in pumping money into it to then build them up and acquire these things.
Yep.
You know, in the surface industry, it's sort of overlooked. And so I'm really excited about continuing to build some Driven for Growth to a world class level where our solutions are unmatched, and our care for our clients in terms of truly being for them in their corner to see them
Mhm.
succeed is again unmatched. And that we've, at the end of the day, let's say if we look down the line 3 years, 5, and then 10, is that um, we've really become synonymous with that, when somebody thinks about who they would go to, that's going to really help them like be in their corner to
Mm-hmm.
relentlessly pursue, the scaling of their company to peak potential, that they think of us. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't really thought of an answer for that. That's what kind of comes to mind. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And you kind of already answered part of the next question as well, which is how do you see Driven for Growth evolving over the next year or two? We've talked a little bit about 3.0 and what your vision is there. And now just mentioning, hey, we want to be the go to. We want to be the first thought in somebody's mind for, hey, in the surface industry, who's going to help me pursue what I ultimately want to no end, right?
Oh yeah, I like that. That's an easier way of putting it, to no end. Um, yeah, and I think that's what am I most excited about in terms of what we're doing is that's a tricky one because I get excited. You see me, I kind of geek out. I get
Yeah.
lit with a lot of things that we're building.
Yeah.
Um, and having you join the team is like I'm reignited,
Mhm.
inspired and reminded of some of the things that like I've kept, it's kind of like maybe 3 years down the road of where we'll be. So I don't talk about it a lot, but bringing
Sure.
that back to the table, I think the thing that excites me the most is seeing how what we're doing is really resonating
Yeah.
with with the industry, with our audience, that the results are consistent, and that each thing that we're building and that we put out in the wild, like the
Yeah.
shop optimization sprint was an idea,
Yep.
put it out into the wild and it gets a good response. Where am I going with this? What the thing that probably excites me the most, it's on the
Yeah.
roadmap, is a little further out. It's probably 2027, 2027-ish, is to start to bring in those leaders in the areas of wealth creation,
Yeah.
helping our clients to really use their business as a vehicle to fund other assets that produce income, more freedom, and ultimately legacy building. And I
Yeah.
think that's something I'm really fired up about, even though it's like, more than a year out.
Yeah. That's great. Something to keep our eyes on, keep us disciplined and pushing. So we've talked a lot about the future as well, where we're going, what we're super excited about. That's all great stuff. But looking back on the journey so far, after all these years, what's one thing that you wish you knew when you started those years ago?
That it was going to take a lot longer than I thought. Yeah. So, yeah. Um, there's only, like for any business owner, there's only so much time in the day.
Hmm.
Right. And we produce a lot of solutions. We produce a lot of content. And so there's a lot of production behind the scenes that does take a time. There's only so much time to produce all of these things we want to create,
Hmm.
like 2.0, 3.0. We want to make sure what we build is world class. And so it's going to take
Yeah.
time. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've taken from this, and what I maybe wish I had known when I started is, hey, what I thought I was going to do in 12 months was going to take two, and
Yeah.
probably that idea that I have of what we'll do in 2027 might be a 2028 thing, right? Like maybe I should tell myself that now. So that might take longer than I think. I think that's because I'm pretty impatient. I've got ideas,
Yeah.
I've got things I want to create, and I want them done yesterday, and that's probably what I would take away from it.
Great. So we've talked about a ton of stuff. How Driven for Growth started, where we're going from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. So as we kind of land the plane here, uh, what do you want listeners to take away from this episode?
Yeah, if you own a countertop business, tile flooring, whether you do installs, whether are a supplier with only a showroom and not on the fab side, like
Hmm.
we help companies throughout the surface industry. And yeah, go listen to some of the other episodes that really resonate with you. You'll see episodes about being stuck in the feast or famine cycles of the business, that survival stage spiral we talk about, We talk a lot about the owner overload loop, is what we've named it, which you're the bottleneck. You're stuck in your business, or you've just hit a place where you've just, because of your success, you've hit a ceiling. And if you dive into those episodes and you listen to them, I think that the biggest thing I can say is that don't just binge episodes as much as we would love for you to listen to them. Education's great, but execution's everything. So if you take away anything from this episode or any of the other episodes, stop, grab your notes, and execute, because execution is what's going to create the transformation for you guys. So appreciate you guys listening to this longer episode. Hopefully you enjoyed the format. And until then, stay driven for growth.